Okay.
And we'll go ahead and get started. I think people are continuing to join in, so they'll just kind of join in as they come, and we'll go ahead and get started, okay?
Amy. Screen. Okay, good afternoon, everyone. I want to thank each and every one of you all for joining us for our Native American Heritage Month, our round robin. Let's see. We'll go ahead and get started. So the first slide is just basic information about our catchment area, and the counties we serve are in the dark green. And so the next slide is Native American tribes in North Carolina. There are 8 state recognized tribes: Coharie, the Eastern Band of Cherokee Indians, the Hallawaa-Saponi, the Lumbee Tribe of North Carolina, the Meherrin, the Saponi, the Occaneechi Band of Saponi Nation, and the Waccamaw-Siouans. So what I've done is I've highlighted the 3 tribes that we cover up under our East Point catchment area. So that is the Coharie tribe in Sampson County, the Hallawaa-Saponi in Warren County, the Lumbee tribe in Robeson, Scotland County, excuse me. And so these are our panelists. I want to thank them for joining us and being agreeing to be a part of this. I am beyond thankful for each and every one of you all. So I'll introduce our panelists. Miss Tabitha Brewer, she's the Health Outreach Coordinator with the Coharie Tribe. Tony Carter, he's a Transition Care Coordinator with East Point. He's with the Lumbee Tribe. Reverend Mike Cummins, pastor of Deep Branch Baptist Church, and he's a member of the Lumbee Tribe. Ashley Evans, Transition Care Coordinator with East Point from the Hallawaa-Saponi Tribe. James Rudd, Student Success Advocate with UNC Pembroke, and he's a member of the Hallawaa-Saponi Tribe. Okay, so we'll go ahead and get started, and we'll talk about some native foods. With November being the month of Thanksgiving, let's talk about foods within the Native American culture. So we can go ahead and get started. What are some important foods within Native American cultures? And anyone can answer this one.
I don't know if you call it a food. I can call it more of a topping for a food, but it's chow chow.
Okay.
And chow chow actually goes on top of all your greens, your collard greens, mustard greens, or cabbage, which are all important to the Native American culture, at least to me anyway.
Do anyone else want to add about native foods within your tribal areas?
I can go. So I would say within my tribal area, if anyone ever been around Holliston, Miss Shambaroon makes the best fry bread, and also Mr. Rye as well. So I think fry bread is something that is not only just for our tribe, but all the tribes here in North Carolina and beyond. It's a big part of our diet, a big part of what we eat a lot. And also the Three Sisters corned beef and squash is something that not my ancestors ate. I feel like the reason why they lived so long is because they ate, very healthy foods, nothing like processed foods like we eat now, or things like that. So, also those are the foods that a lot of tribes eat. And for our tribe, Hallawaa-Saponi, I would say corn is really big for us. Even on our tribal seal, corn is one of the plants you'll see on our tribal seal. So I think corn is a big part. I know for my community, my family, we eat corn pretty much a lot of our meals. So also those are the foods I would recommend or I'll talk about for my community.
Great. Miss Tabitha, would you like to tell us a little bit about your serum syrup from the Coharie tribe? Hello, Miss Tabitha. Okay, hold on, y'all. I think we've lost some connections. Um, uh-oh. Hold on 1 second, y'all. All right, so just muted. Ashley said, yeah, she said she lost connection. I lost connection. It won't let me talk or view. And log out. Disconnect and go back in, you think?
It looks like Ashley's back in. I see her name just popped up.
While you're doing that, Sheena, can I tell you some more important stuff about Native American foods? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Go right ahead.
I know there's a laundry list of Native American foods that we could talk about endlessly, but Native American foods are important, but they're important because it brings
Okay.
Native families together. And that is important because that's when you have the great conversations. And one of the most important things that people need to know about when they're eating Native American foods is the storytelling that goes along with the native while you're eating. And that's because among the Native American culture, storytelling is extremely important to us.
She said she,
A lot of people say that, man, our elders don't know what they're talking about, and so on and so forth. But that's how we get information from our older folks, our elders, and we pass it along to our kids and so on and so forth. And a lot of that takes place when we are breaking bread. And that's another important thing about Native American food.
Can you hear me now?
Ma'am?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. I just wanted to chime in with what Jane said about Halawa foods because we also have a turnip soup and a corn soup, and there is a saponi stew that's made with deer. And I think when deer is out of season, it's actually made with turtle and rabbit as a substitute.
okay, y'all. Let's see. So our next slide. Okay. Why is it important to teach non-natives about native culture?
I think it's important to teach non-natives about Native American culture so they can sort of kind of grasp an understanding of why we're such a prideful culture. Because if you're on the outside of a tribe looking in, then you can like, well, man, those people are difficult to get along with. They don't want to listen to anybody or anything else. But one thing you have to realize is that tribes just don't let any and everybody in. They mistrust people. They definitely mistrust outsiders. So when you're speaking to them or you want to do something or you want them to get them to do something, then you have to be a lot more understanding and try to understand where they're coming from or why they're saying what they're saying or why they're doing what they're doing. So I guess one thing I could say to non-natives was do not jump to conclusions when having conversation with Native American people about different things. And if you don't understand something, don't be scared to ask because more than likely they will be happy to explain it to you. Most of them, not all of them, but most of them will be happy to explain it to you as long as you ask them in a very respectful way.
Right, explaining Tony. Did anybody else want to add to what he had to say?
I think he did a great job of covering it.
Yeah. Right. So we'll go ahead and move to the next question. What is one common stereotype that you like to dispel about Native Americans?
I can
Uh,
chime in on this one too now.
so I give you a break, Tony.
Go ahead, James.
Yeah. So I probably got a running list for this, but I would say that one of the biggest misconceptions that or stereotypes that people think we all live in teepees is not true. We're Eastern Woodland Indians, so we grew up in our ancestors grew up in longhouses. So not every single Native American person grew up in a teepee. Um, as you can see, the panelists here, we're all Native, but we all have different skin colors. We all have different hair textures, body size, eye color, beards, no beards, like so. Another thing is that individuals think that there's a certain look for American Indians that we're very stoic and have long hair and super brown skin, looking like sitting bulls. No, it's not the case at all. A lot of us, we're light skinned. Some of our parents may be darker skinned than we are, and we come out very light. In my case, exactly, my dad's a lot darker than I am, but also that's a big misconception or stereotypes that I feel like a lot of people have, and then lastly, I would say everyone thinks that we all speak our language. People have to understand that a lot of our languages were taken away from us from boarding school, from assimilation, and all because you go to a American Indian person and talk to them, and I feel like it's kind of rude for you to go up and say, hey, say something in your language. Not everyone in specifically my wife, she's Lumbee, and I know Lumbee tribe. A lot of them lost their language. But they all also have like a dialect that they speak with as well, which is very true, which is very special to them. So I definitely think that all because we don't speak a language, our tribe we speak Tutelo. I took some of it in school, but I don't speak it, fluently. But all because that American any person that speaks their language doesn't make them any less Native American over a person that does speak their language. So I think those are I feel like the big stereotypes that I've been encountered of for I guess for our people.
Great points, James. You did really well on that. Especially when you explained that we all don't always look alike. I know in my family we'll have dark skin, with light skin, light eyes, dark hair, dark eyes, even with my own children. My oldest, she's got jet black hair, and my third child, he has sandy blonde hair with hazel eyes. So you're most definitely right about that we don't all look the same. So it's pretty accurate.
Another thing that people need to be mindful of that I ran into is that people assume that Native Americans are uneducated and have a tendency to be aggressive when you're talking to them. And like I said earlier, it's not about being aggressive, it's about you being on the outside looking in about what they have going on. So, and that goes back to if you have questions, ask questions. But like I said, just be respectful, because I promise you, they'll be respectful back. But now, if you disrespect them, then that's where the whole aggression part comes in. So,
Great explanation. Ashley, you good? Miss Tabitha?
The only thing that I can think of that really stands out is just that, like the stereotype that we all get government money. We don't live on, everybody doesn't live on the reservation, or that we should feel honored when people, I guess, try to model us or wear stuff similar to us. A few weeks ago, I went to a Native program, and the kids had made like those little feather hats with like the band and the paper feathers. And I actually had to pull like the teacher to the side and explain that that was very inappropriate. You know, we were offended by it. And she was just appalled that she thought we should have loved the fact that they made those feathers.
Great. I remember when that happened. So I appreciate you talking with that teacher about that. Okay, so we'll move on to our next question. Religion. Sorry. What is the importance of religion to Native people? With this slide, I added some things to it, like the medicine wheel with the 4 direction, the 4 sacred herbs, and I added a picture of Reverend Mike Cummins. He's trying to log in, y'all, so that's what I've been trying to do. Is I've been texting back and forth trying to make sure he gets in, so hopefully he can join us soon. But yes, just kind of explain some of the importance of religion to Native people.
I guess you could say that religion is a cornerstone of almost every Native American family. I wouldn't say everyone, I would say almost every Native American family. But at the same time, their religion is not always the traditional Christian belief religion. It's more of a spiritual religion than it is a Christian belief religion. So it's extremely important. I mean, everybody knows that their grandparents made them go to church, and they made and they made you sit in church the whole time. But with that being said, that I think that every Native American family has some foundation in religion.
Would anybody else like to share their outlook on religion?
I don't want to keep talking, but so my dad's a pastor, so I grew up kind of Tony said, my dad, I was in church every time the doors are open. But like you said, their religion, Christianity is a big part of American Indian culture, but so are other religions. I think that's another stereotype. Like he said that the traditional style. I know a lot of Native Americans, they aren't religious, but they're traditional. That makes sense. And I feel like we've always known the Creator. Creator can mean different things from different Native, and especially their tribes. So I think religion plays a big part. Again, it gives you a sense of belonging. It gives you sometimes a sense of purpose, and for you to live your life accordingly in a certain way. Because some natives we believe in. I of course believe in heaven, but some natives believe in the afterlife, in different ways. So I just think that as far as religion can be also a very hot topic for especially older Native Americans, just because of the boarding schools and the Western civilization. Religion was forced on a lot of our tribal ancestors. They had to cut their hair. They couldn't speak their language. They couldn't practice their own tribal beliefs. They had to go to the Christianity or be Catholic, whatever the case may be. So religion can be a very hot topic in American Indian culture, but also I feel like Tony said, it's very important too. So I think it depends on who you talk to. It can mean different things to certain people, but I definitely think religion is a huge part of our community.
I totally agree with you. I know that when I was growing up, my grandparents took us to church a lot. So yeah, I definitely understand that. Let's see.
And I was just gonna add to that as a child, like on the powwow grounds, it was always talk of the Creator, Great Spirit, Mother Nature. But in church, it was the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit. And so in culture class, they actually broke it down one day to explain which one fit, so that it was easier for the kids to understand that we were combining the two, but just giving it different names.
Okay. And I just want to add, I know James was saying about a lot of our culture was lost when our children were sent to boarding schools and cut our hair and wasn't allowed to use our native names. We was given new names. So, but I want to throw this out here. There's a movie called Indian Horse, and it's about residential schools. And it talks about it all up to the 1970s and in Canada area. But it's a pretty neat movie if anyone get a chance to watch it. And again, that title is Indian Horse. And it gives you a lot of insight of what the Native Americans went through as far as the natives, the residential schools. I think it was even shocking for me to watch it, but it just become more realistic of some of the things that the Native people went through. Excuse me. Okay, let's see. What are your thoughts about seeking mental health services outside of the church?
This right here, this topic can be a very touchy topic because Native people by nature are very prideful people. So they do not like to talk about their issues. With that being said, we've always been taught to talk to the preacher, always been taught that way. But after so many years of working in mental health, I've learned that talking to the preacher doesn't always work. So I actually encourage family, friends, and coworkers to seek counseling if need be. But one thing you have to understand when you're dealing with the Native American population is that if you, I have a tendency to refer them to Native American counselors. The reason being is because the first thing that they're going to say is they don't understand where I'm coming from. They don't understand what I'm going through. So, with that being said, I do make the referrals, but I have a tendency to gear them towards Native American counselors.
I'll speak on this topic too. I feel like mental health is really important. I myself suffer from anxiety. I'm not afraid to say that. Um, and I saw someone had a T-shirt one time that said, "I love Jesus and therapy too." So I definitely think that this, like Tony said, as American Indians, we are often, I was countless time told that, you should go talk to the preacher or pray about it. But I feel like, the Creator God, He provided these opportunities and these resources for us to use. And I think it's a big stigma in American Indian culture that, especially as a male, I just had a daughter, and getting more in touch with I guess my feminine side when it comes to my daughter, and being able to have conversations with her when she gets older. And I feel like sometimes, as American Indian males, we're taught to be strong, we're taught to be the leader of the house, but I want to have a different mindset when it comes to raising my child, and my wife's child, and be able to say, it's okay to see men cry, it's okay for us to talk about our feelings, because so too many of us are dying because of mental health. So I think that these conversations should be had more, even in high school, even in go to college. Like Tony said, that I'm a firm believer going to, again, seeking help, and uh, seeking help is not a sign of weakness, it's a sign of determination. I've always been a big advocate for that. So I would say that, mental health is very important for our communities, but it is hard for us to go talk to people, because as history does show that for people of color, American Indians, African Americans, Latino people, Hispanic people, like, we have been in trials, medical trials without us knowing. So that's a big stigma too. We're kind of scared to go to a doctor, scared to go talk to people about our mental health. So I feel like once we can kind of get over that, not get over it, but to work on, moving past that, and knowing that we can go to American Indian doctor or therapist that can actually understand who we are and understand our struggles and our things we go through, I think it will be better for it. So I'm a big advocate for mental health, and, getting help when needed.
That's great, James. Like you were saying, a lot of times with different minorities, that we don't talk, or we don't go outside. We don't talk to others about what's going on, and kind of goes with the saying, "What happens in our house stays in our house." We take care of our own, and so what I have noticed, a lot of people, or our people, don't want to reach out, or they don't reach out for help because um, we don't have a lot of natives in those um, as therapists and stuff to relate to. It's very hard to kind of talk to other people sometimes, because they they are different from us, and sometimes we can relate to people that's from the same background. Miss Tabitha, would you like
Sheena,
to? Yes.
I'm sorry, Sheena, I was going to see if we could go back for just a second to the previous slide. We had a question come in to see, since we're talking about mental health, if you could address a little bit more about the medications and explain a little bit more about, like, the medicine wheel. And if the person that sent that question wants to clarify a little bit more, that would be helpful. But just kind of explain this slide a little bit more, please.
Okay. Well, I did this slide. I added the four sacred herbs, which is the cedar, sweetgrass, the tobacco, and the sage. Um, so on the slides, like with our tobacco, we use those for different ceremonies. With the picture that I selected, it states for rituals and ceremonies to communicate with the spirit. So we use our tobacco for ceremonies and healing. We don't use it for addiction. The cedar is known for, to be pure and to protect the home. Sage is to release and cleanse and removes any type of negative energy. Sweetgrass, we use that is for it says to purify the spirit and calm and heal abstracts on spirits. Um, I know, like, a lot of sometimes we'll make pray bundles, and what it is just a piece of material, and it'll have tobacco in it, and they'll take a piece of ribbon and tie it, and we use those as um kind of like pray emblems. Also, over onto your top right corner, I added the medicine wheel with the four directions. Tony, would you like to kind of chime in and give a little bit more in-depth description on that?
The medicine wheel in the four directions is an indicator of the 4 races, which of course all of them correspond with the white being of the Caucasian, the black being of the African American, the yellow being of the Asian, and the red being of the Native American culture. That's what each color of the medicine wheel represents.
Thank you, Tony. Reverend Mike, are you in now? If you can unmute yourself. I added Reverend Mike down to his picture down at the bottom on right. And I just when I was growing up and we did revivals at our church at Walnut Grove in Warrenton, North Carolina, he would come and do our revivals. So I remember him as a child growing up coming and visiting with us. So I think he said he had gotten in, but I'm not sure. So I told him he can chime in anytime.
Courtney, and also if whoever sent the question, if they need more clarification, tell them they can reach out to me at any given time, and I'll be happy to explain it to them.
Okay, great. Thank you, Tony. And I'm looking to see, I don't see Mike up here unless he's called in, but his name's not showing up here as a panelist, so he may not have gotten in yet, okay?
All right. Okay. The Coharie, Hallawasaponi, and Lumbee tribes are among the 8 state recognized tribes in North Carolina. What would it mean to each tribe to become federally recognized?
I can start this one off. It would mean the world to a lot of people because, and it's not about getting a check or anything else along those lines. Becoming federally recognized opens up a whole new avenue of services that can be provided to and for Native American people that are not really available, or they're probably available, and Native Americans have a tendency not to want to pursue those because Native Americans by nature are very skeptical about almost everything that the government provides. So if they had funding from federal recognition, that means they would be provided by possible Native American doctors or therapists or what have you. So the funding would definitely be extremely beneficial.
And I'm going to agree with Tony on just better health care for tribal citizens, better resources within our small communities, as well as stability for our schools.
Yeah, I agree. I think that getting funding, especially coming from Hollister, we don't have like a lot of resources for academics. I feel like I have more now than when I was in school, and people worked hard to get resources for us. But I feel like we add more opportunity for students to not be in debt when they go to college, have opportunities to get away from taking out all these loans and things like that. But but on the flip side, I do think that when it comes to federal recognition, we are just as much a Native American as we are being state recognized, as we will be federally recognized. Like Tony said, it'll be great to have, but it's not just a check. And this might sound, I guess, going to a tribal school, I have a different perspective on it, but all because federal government has recognized us doesn't make us like we're not Native. We still are, whether we get it today or we get it tomorrow. You know, we're still going to be Native American. We're still going to have our traditions and cultures, but the assistance would be great to have. And not to say that we're owe reparations for what happened to us, but it would be great to have that, that money for, I might not ever see it in my lifetime, but when my daughter and my great grandkids, they be able to see it and hopefully not have to go in a lot of debt. And like Ashley said, having that medical care, a lot of our elders can't go off, from Hollister or our tribal communities, whether it's in Lumberton or in the Coharie area. They can't go off, and they don't have the transportation to go. They don't have a person that can take them there. So just by having those funds there, I don't want to speak on Tony's behalf. I know he's Lumbee, but the Lumbee tribe, they're special in the fact that they are technically federally recognized without the federal they have the recognition, but they don't have as far as the monetary things that comes from being federally recognized. So I definitely want to point that out. That they've been trying for years and years to get federally recognized, and hopefully Tony, I hope it comes true for y'all real soon, because I definitely think it's long past due.
Thank you.
Ms. Tabitha, would you like to add anything on behalf of your tribe?
Sheena, I did have another question just come in, so I'm gonna give this to you guys in the panel. Could you ask the panelists, are there differences in the resources provided to Native Americans versus American citizens? Thank you, that's a great question.
Can you read the question again?
Yes, I sure can. Give me just a second.
Mhm.
All right. Could you ask the panelists, are there differences in the resources provided to Native Americans versus American citizens? And I'll cut and paste it and put it in the box so you guys can see it too.
Okay. Yeah. I would say I think Ashley hit on it earlier, that we don't get any type of of course, some federal recognized tribes, a lot of them, they get, money to go to school. But there aren't any type of we don't get any perks, nothing like that to go to college. I mean, there's scholarships just like everything, like everybody else. So I would just say the big difference, we're also people that when it comes to, for example, alcoholism is very prevalent in American Indian, for American Indians. So I definitely think, I wouldn't feel like it's a difference in it, but I feel like there are certain, like a regular American person, like there are certain things that we need, and other communities may not need it as much. If that makes sense. So I definitely think there's not really like a huge difference when it comes to uh the need, whether you're American Indian or not. If there's a need, it needs to be addressed and, get help when needed. But I definitely think that there are certain things American Indians should get just because of the things that we deal with or have dealt with, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and just to add on what James said, and there's not really, I guess you could say, based off the question, they're asking about resources provided to Native Americans versus American citizens. Native Americans they are almost like a forgotten culture, because we're American citizens, but we're also Native Americans. And so I guess the question is there a difference? There shouldn't be a difference, but there definitely is a difference, because there's things available there to most American citizens that Native Americans really can't get to because of the rural areas that we stay in, the uphill battles that we continuously have to fight to get stuff or get things done. So the resources are there, they're just not readily available to us. And another part that Courtney put in there is to clarify the Native Americans who belong to tribes, are they treated differently? And honestly, a state recognized tribe is treated extremely different than a federally recognized tribe, because the state recognizes us as a tribe. The government basically says we don't exist, even though we do exist. And being federally recognized, that opens up a whole another door for, and I know I don't want to keep going back to the funding thing, but it is a funding thing, because if you're federally recognized, there's a whole nother pot of funds and resources that are available to tribal members that are not available to just state recognized tribes, if that makes sense.
And also add that with Tony, I think it's a big stigma, especially I haven't had the pleasure to go off to really outside of just Virginia area as far as powwow goes and Baltimore area, but people like, Stony Creeks are based are world-renowned members of our community that sing and have definitely been doing it for a long, long time. I've heard them tell stories of going to different powwows out west and other tribes, and because we're not federally recognized, they look at us differently. They look at us as less than, and that we're because we don't have the federal recognition title. And I've met people who are federally recognized who don't know anything about their tribal community, don't know anything about the histories, do not know anything about their tribe except for their tribal name, versus a state recognized tribal member. They know everything about their tribe, and they practice what they preach. They know about their culture, their language. So to me, that's the important piece right there. I think that having the federal government recognize you, to me, I just have a different standpoint on it. For us, the monetary gain, like Tony said, would be great for our community and our people, but um, I don't want to get that title if it means losing who I am, my sense of community, my sense of my culture, so to speak. So the federal government doesn't dictate who we are, and they never will. So I just want to point that out.
And I just wanted to add one thing because some people may not know this, but Native Americans are the only group of people who actually have to prove themselves as Native. When we fill out scholarships, applications, things of that sort, we have to include our tribal membership number. And so it's kind of hard to explain to some people that when we're teaching our kids their social security numbers, we're also having to teach them their tribal enrollment number because that's something that they use constantly throughout life. Beginning of every school year, they have forms that have to be filled out that includes that number. When they go to college, everything they apply for includes that tribal membership number.
Great explanation, Ashley. Going back to what James was saying about just meeting different Native tribes. I know this past summer I went to the national conference, and that was held in Minnesota. So there's lots of federal recognized individuals that, like he said, don't know much about their cultural versus us natives and from North Carolina that state recognized. We just don't have the federal recognition to go along with it. And you'll find, like, when you meet different natives from federal recognized tribes, they sometimes we have to, I guess you can kind of say, we have to prove ourselves to them as well to let because we're not federal recognized. So we go through not only trying to prove who we are or our identity with other races, but we have to do it within our own Native people as well. Great discussion on that piece. Okay. Lumbee people have a long history of education, having the first native college in the nation. Coharie and Haliwa-Saponi tribes also develop Indian schools in their communities. What is the importance of education for Native Americans today?
I'd start this one off too. Historically, the importance of education runs deep. But historically, Native Americans have been basically stripped of everything cultural in various different ways. So my parents, my grandparents, and my great-great-grandparents always told me that they can take this, that, and the other from you, but they cannot take your education from you. So they harped on education, whether it's a 2-year college, whether it's a 4-year college, what have you. But they always told me that if you get your education, they can attempt to take your culture from you, but they can't take your education from you. So the push for education definitely runs deep in Native American culture.
Yeah, I'll speak on this too. So I've had the pleasure of not only going to tribal school, but also going to University of Pembroke as an undergraduate student. Like Tony said, it's one thing no one can ever take from you is your education. And I've sat in a lot of rooms. I've had opportunity to present in front of people from Harvard and Yale, and and that's just a testament of the opportunities I got here going to UCP, and also going to the tribal school. I've had a very unique experience. I've lived my culture all my life at a tribal school. We would go to powwows all the time. We would actually get off a day, but because our powwow every year is actually on the school ground. So we had opportunity, we had to go to school. So it was always fun being able to have that. And also just going off into the communities and different areas and talking about our culture. And then lastly, everyone probably remembers, doing the national Pledge of Allegiance, in beginning of school day. But for our tribal school, we would have that, and then we also have a honor song, either by Stony Creek or another drum group, and that was very unique. And then when I went to UNCP, it's still American Indian school, but it's other people here as well. And it was I feel like an easier transition for me. And also seeing American Indians who are also students being able to express their culture and talk about their culture, and it wasn't something we were ashamed of. It's something very beautiful. So I think that education is very important, and I recommend all students, especially from Hollister, and a lot of us don't get out. And I feel like it's another big stigma that I've gotten to. People think that when you go off to college, it's from your hometown. They think that you think that you're better than them, and it's not the case at all. I'm proud of who I am. I won't be, and I always say I'm from Hollister. Where I go to, any room I'm at, they'll know where I'm from, my tribal community. But I think that education can open a lot of doors for you. And it doesn't necessarily mean a 4-year degree, whether that's a 2-year degree, it's a trade, going to the military. Those are the things that that can open up a lot of doors for you. So I definitely think education is very important to our communities. And like Tony said, that they can take away everything from us, our language, our traditions, whatever case may be, but they can't take away that piece of paper. And it's actually on my wall right now. We're statistics. It's less than 1% of us that have an undergrad degree in the entire United States. So that's saying something about the tenacity and our ability to never give up and to continue to grow, and to continue to for education to be I guess, forefront of us and what we do. So I'm a huge advocate for that.
Great. Thank you all for sharing that. Miss Tabitha, are you still there? You might be on mute. Um,
Let's see. I'm not seeing her up here, so I don't know if she lost connection.
oh,
But I'll keep talking. No. I kind of wanted to throw this out there. James, you were just talking a little bit. Do you want to share a little bit about what y'all been doing at UNCP with the new center? Thought that would be kind of a good place to slide that in, if you don't mind.
Yeah, so we just opened up the Kurt and Catherine Locklear American Indian Heritage Center here at UNC Pembroke. It was a grant that was awarded. It's a 5-year grant. It's called the Nasanti grant. And Dr. Ashley McMillan, she's a member of the Lumbee tribe. She's the one that kind of spearheaded everything. She's my supervisor, and also Ms. Maya Reyes. She's also a member of the Lumbee tribe. She's another one of my coworkers. So we're just a place for American Indian students, also non-natives as well. We're not just exclusive for American Indian students, but it's also a place to kind of go on the question earlier about, educating non-natives. We have a lot of non-natives on campus, and for them to understand who we are, our traditions, our cultures, and we're just a safe haven, for a lot of our American Indian students. There were times that we didn't have opportunity to go to college, and we didn't have a space for us. We felt very secluded, and I feel like UNC Pembroke is very, we're unique in the sense of not only are we a historic American Indian institution, but we take pride in our culture. We take pride in things that we do. So the center is something I always said I wish I had this when I was a student here. and I always joke around, so I feel like my tuition money to pay for this, pay for us to have this here. But I definitely think that, you know, I would do it all over again just to have for our students to have this center and have this space for them and say, hey, I'm an American Indian student, and there's a faculty and staff member that I can go to and talk to about scholarships, about resources. Again, I mentioned earlier, I plan the alternative spring break trip. We're also one of the few schools that have an American Indian graduation. We recognize our American Indian graduates because it's something to recognize because a lot of us don't go to college. Our center does a lot on campus, and we continue to, you know, to just be that place for American Indian students to feel a sense of peace on campus. So I'm just fortunate and just honored to be a part of the team.
Thanks, James. That's awesome. Okay, well, let's see. We had some alternative questions in case we needed to fill in, so I'll go ahead and ask this one. If you could give one final thought to our participants about Native Americans' identity, cultural, and way of life, what will it be?
My final thought would be, if you ever get the opportunity, attend one of our events, one of our powwows, anything along. They have them starting in February and they go all the way to November. And they're all across the state, so you can find one anywhere. They have them regularly at UNCP. So attend one of the cultural events. And if you have questions, just ask. And just make sure you ask with respect, because there's some things in Native American culture and some things on stuff that we wear that we really don't, we would prefer for you not to touch. Just ask questions about it. That's my final thought.
So I included our link. Tony mentioned our powwow. So University of Pembroke's powwow is coming up on March the 18th of next year. It's coming up pretty fast. So please join us. We'd love to have you. So Tony mentioned the powwow. So we're fortunate enough also to have a lot of amazing schools in North Carolina outside of UNCP, like UNC Chapel Hill, UNC Charlotte, NC State, ECU. They all have their powwows. And I'm proud to say UNC Pembroke, we had the largest college powwow in the UNC system or in North Carolina in general. So I guess the final thought would be, like Tony said, just be respectful of who we are, what we do. When a person says that they're Native American, just trust that they are. Like Ashley said, that we're the only race that has to prove how Native we are. And like, for example, like blood quantum, there's another, I can get on that topic for a long, long time, but blood quantum basically like an ancient old way of proving how Native you are. You have to go back and see, well, is your grandma or grandpa a royal member or things like that. But just believe a person when they are Native. And when you see something that you don't know, ask a question. I'd rather you ask a question rather than do something to offend someone. And that American Indian culture is not something that we pit on and take off every day. It's something that who we are every single day. And we're proud people. You know, we've gotten over so much, and we stay fast, and we're continuing to be proud of who we are. So I welcome you to continue to you know, teach yourself and get knowledgeable about certain things about Native American culture, and just, you know, attend powwow, attend the things that, you know, it's welcome all. You don't have to just be a Native American to attend. So, and I welcome you to come. And also, I want to throw in our powwow. Hopefully, it'll be the first time in what, 3 years, Sheena.
Yes.
Our Halawass Child Powwow the third weekend in April. So please join us for that one as well. So thank you all for attending today.
And I'm gonna add to what they said as far as going to powwows and things. Just find somebody there, ask them questions. I mean, we're proud people. We enjoy sharing our traditions. We enjoy sharing our heritage. I think we are like North Carolina is either the 7th or 8th largest Native population, so you can find us anywhere.
Well, I'm hoping in to come that I would be able to put announcements in our hopefully in our East Point newsletter. of announcements of different events that's coming up. That is kind of like one of my goals to share with the staff with East Point, just so that they can be aware of different things, and so they can have the opportunity to join us and just share in, and like you said, just ask questions. We teach our children very young to how to respond to different people, and just share who we are as a people.
One other thing, Sheena, I wanted to kind of add, we also have on the East Point website the calendar of events. If any of you guys have any announcements or flyers for events, I know y'all talked about some great stuff, feel free to send it to the training department, and we can certainly upload those and have them up there so the community in general can see, details about it. They might be interested in joining you guys as well.
All right, thank you. Let's see. How are we on time, Courtney?
You guys have about 5 minutes to wrap up if y'all have any final thoughts or anything else that you'd like to share.
Well, my final thoughts would be that, first of all, let me thank y'all for coming to our little presentation. But just remember that we're native year round, not just not just 1 month out of the year. We're native year round. So don't just think, well, it's November, let me ask Native American questions only this month. No, we're easily approachable. We love talking, and we will share anything about our culture that you want to know. One thing I just can't explain to you is Lumbonics. You have to be a Lumbee to understand that. But other than that, I can pretty much explain everything else to you. So, but that's my final thoughts.
I just want to thank you all for joining us and participate and agreeing to join and talk to everyone. This is my first time, as many of you all know, coordinating this. Cordelia had did it 2 years ago, so she was a great resource to me, and I reached out to her several times and kind of asked her questions, and I thank her for her guidance on this. And I just appreciate you all and everything that y'all have done. So I had added some resources, and I guess I'm sure that we can probably send out the PowerPoint. And so I just put some links up there to some great information about the three tribes that's listed. And just thank you everyone for attending.
Awesome.
Guys, so much.
Thank you.
If anybody, you're welcome. If anybody has any other questions, I know we're a little short on time. We're about to run out of time. You're welcome to email them to us, and we can address them that way and respond to you directly on training@eastpoint.net, and we can work with the panelists to answer those.
Okay.
Thank you guys so much.
All right,
Y'all have a
thanks.
thanks. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.